Check. Hold on. Okay, see how the microphone is going. Hello everyone. We are going to be watching the launch of the Long March 2F rocket that's going to be carrying 3 Chinese crew members to the new Chinese space station.
Several days or a month.
Yeah.
This time we'll have to extend their lifetime.
Yeah.
For example, at least 180 days. This is also a challenge to the technologies, to the components, and because of the hazards of space environment, yes. The vacuum outside the station, as well as the serious radio activities and radiations from the solar system. So all of these are challenges for the station. So this mission is more of a validation of all the technologies and testings, more testings rather than operations, I would say.
More testing, and actually, we did send up a prototype of the spacecraft, right? That was launched in May 2020.
That was the last year.
Yeah, so has it been any adjustments and improvements made to the Shenzhou 12 mission according to that test?
Well, that test was just for validation of more of a validation of the launch vehicle rather than the
So right now is about almost 3 hours to launch. So I am not going to be on here for the whole entire time. I'll come off and like back on, you know. And yeah, I'm just gonna put the CGTN footage of the live stream of the launch. And yeah, I'm really excited. So yeah, see you guys in a little bit.
Circular orbit, and it's ready for the rendezvous and docking for the Shenzhou 12.
All right, stay with us, gentlemen. We have more to talk about, of course. And now China hopes to complete the building of its first space station, Tiangong, in the next 18 months. And Gao Yiming looks at what we can expect now.
Sorry if my microphone was going insane there. I forgot I had my live stream window open for the actual live stream. So yeah, see you guys later.
4 cargo flights and 3 to set up the actual parts of the space station. A logistical monster, but a good start is half the battle, they say, and China has certainly managed that. It all began in late April when the most important section of the space station, the core module known as Tianhe, was launched from Wenchang Space Launch Site. Tianhe will serve as the living quarters for crew members and will provide the space station's power and propulsion. It'll be joined later by 2 further capsules where the astronauts will carry out their experiments. The capsules named Wentian and Mengtian will attach themselves to either side of the core module, making a T shape. Exactly 1 month after Tianhe's launch, Wenchang was a hive of activity once again. It was time for the first shipment of cargo on board the Tianzhou 2 spacecraft to be launched. With nearly 7 tons of cargo, it marked the debut for China's space station cargo transportation system. It included propellant and supplies to support human life in the space station. The third journey is a real landmark occasion, as it will see the arrival of the first people on Tiangong. It will involve 3 Chinese astronauts, and they will be expected to stay there for 3 months and carry out in-orbit scientific tasks. We'll have to wait till September and October for the next episodes in this remarkable mission, when the 3 astronauts will be relieved by a second crew, and the space station will also be stocked with more supplies. 2022 promises to bring even more excitement and construction, with Tiangong gradually taking its distinctive T shape. Gao Yiming, CGTN.
What a venture. Why does China want to build its own space station? CGTN's Willei explains.
Here on Earth, an apple will fall due to gravity's influence, but in outer space, it floats like this. But how might this apple mutate in a microgravity environment? What might happen when an astronaut eats this apple? China has sent 11 astronauts into space since 2003. During their time in space, the astronauts had carried out a variety of experiments, but their time for each visit was limited. China is aiming to remedy this by building a brand new space station by the end of 2022, which is expected to remain in space for over 10 years, allowing astronauts who spend time there to engage in longer physical, biological, and cosmological experiments. As for experiments, Chinese scientists are interested in growing plants. These flowers and vegetables were growing from seeds mutated in space. The effects of living in space are also of concern for scientists. Knowing how to guarantee the ability for astronauts to have a healthy long-term stay in space could pave the way for future space travel. China's new space station won't just be for Chinese scientists, but also for global scientists as well. So far, a total of 9 projects proposed by 17 countries, including Germany, France, and Italy, have been selected for the first round of experiments to be conducted in this new space lab. This new facility is expected to open up a brand new chapter in human space exploration. Wu Lei, CGTN.
So here's one question for our guests. Why do we need 11 missions, Professor Yang, to complete the construction of China's space station?
Well, you know, as I mentioned, we must or as Yan Song has mentioned, we must verify some new technologies we have not tested before. So this is the major task of Shenzhou 12 and Shenzhou 13. So during these missions, as I mentioned, because you know that today we call the Tianhe 1 the experimental core module, not the formal one. Only after Shenzhou 12, Shenzhou 13, and the Tianzhou 2, Tianzhou 3 mission, we will have a verification phase. During this phase, we will evaluate everything if everything is okay. If everything is okay, we change the name from the experimental core module to the formal core module. If it's not, we will launch another core module to be the formal one. So that is the reason this is called the key technology verification phase. And after that, we will launch the experimental modules Wentian and Mengtian to dock and connect as a permanent part of this station. So that's the other part next year. During this year, as I have mentioned, we still have many technologies to break through. As we have discussed, we will have 2 EVA during the Shenzhou 12 mission. And the 2 EVA spacesuits were brought to the station by the Tianzhou 2 cargo ship. Because the EVA spacesuit is very heavy and very expensive. So during this mission, the 3 astronauts will open the hatch of the Tianzhou 2 cargo ship and then brought not only all resupplies, but also the very important cargo, the 2 EVA spacesuits to the station. And also you see that on the top of the node, there is a node on the front of the core module. There is a hatch. It is a EVA hatch. So the node can not only act as a node point to connect all the modules and the Shenzhou spaceship, but also can act as a airlock. So during the EVA, at least 2 of the astronauts will use the node as an airlock and go outside the station. They will check many technologies and also do some preparation work as a construction. For instance, there are panoramic camera. During the launch of our Tianhe 1, you may see the videos from this panoramic camera. But that, you know, that because of the limit of the payload fairing, the position of the panoramic camera is very low. So you cannot see all the field of view, you cannot see all the details. But with their EVA, they can read the position of this panoramic camera, so we can have a better view of the whole system and monitoring everything. This is also important during the future construction of the station. And also they will mount some important instruments outside the station. So all these are very important tasks for the preparation of the station.
Absolutely. We'll get a closer look at the space station later in just a bit as we get close to the liftoff. But for now, let's get the latest from the launch site. Our reporter Liu Jiaxin, who is standing by for us around the astronauts' apartment compound, caught Wen Tianhe in Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center there. Good to see you there, Jiaxin. Tell us what's happening there.
Yes, Qiuyuan, today's weather is crystal and clear. It's a good news for the launch. They said it's an ideal weather condition for the launch of the Shenzhou 12 manned spacecraft. And now I'm at Wentiange. This is where all the astronauts train and live before they go on a mission. And anytime soon, they will come out from that door and they will come all the way up here after a short brief with the press and all the people who's here seeing them off. They will later get in the bus and go into the launch site, which is about 7 kilometers away. So this time, even though you can't see any people here, later it will be quite busy. They're mostly students and spacewalkers, and of course people from all walks of life, and they are. Some of them include police officers and, of course, it includes reporters. They've come here earlier this morning, even 2 hours before this whole progress, yes. And I've talked to some of them. Their biggest wish is for the astronauts to go smoothly and return safely. So that's also my biggest wish as well. And yesterday, the astronauts have met with the press, and they all look so determined and resolute. And Nie Haisheng, the eldest one, is even older than my father. Just the thought of them, keep this intensive mode of train just inspires me a lot. And this time, we wish them a very success. As we are expecting them, if you see the wall behind me, it shows all the astronauts who's been in space before. And some of them have even been there for multiple times. Like Jing Haipeng, he's been into space for 3 times. And it's also the 3rd voyage for Nie Haisheng. So last time this place has been so busy was about 5 years before, but I'm pretty sure in the next 2 years it will be busier than before with China's upcoming 4 missions of the manned space program. Back to you, Qiuyuan.
Thanks so much. Exciting stuff. Liu Jiaxing joining us live at the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center right in front of that Wentianhe, where the astronauts are staying. That's the final stop before they embark on their journey to space, right?
That's right. It seems the weather is great today. It's perfect. If you will just tune in with our special coverage on this launch day, if you're listening through the China Radio International, if you're listening through the radio, I can tell you that the weather seems very, very good today.
So we are now just standing by for a brief send-off ceremony. The 3 astronauts, as Jiaxing just mentioned, will emerge any moment from now from that building. We're going to take a short break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Over 400 kilometers above the Earth, China's first space station is waiting to welcome the first astronauts. And now, the countdown begins to the launch of Shenzhou 12 to Santa Cruz to the Tiangong space station. Witness China's latest space mission on CGTN.
Now let's turn back to our studio guest, Mr. Shenzhou. I would like to ask this. What is special about today's event? It's Shenzhou 12. What is the difference between Shenzhou 12 and the previous? We got 6 manned space mission, right? What's the difference?
Yeah, we started from Shenzhou 5 that we had
Mr. Yang Liwei
is the first manned mission, and before that was experimental missions from Shenzhou 1 all the way to Shenzhou 4.
That's right.
And then it was a 3-stage, what we call a 3-stage manned mission program. The first stage is to make sure that we have a capability of sending a man to outer space and come back safely. And we did that with Shenzhou 5. And starting from Shenzhou 6 all the way to Shenzhou 11, it was more or less of a second stage where we validate more in-orbit operations, like what we mentioned, EVAs, rendezvous dockings, in-orbit fuelings, and many other technologies that we have already validated. And in the same process, we're building also a larger launch vehicle and the capability of sending larger space objects to outer space.
Payloads.
The Shenzhou, the Long March 5, the modified Long March 5B was able to send objects greater than 5-meter diameter because of the size and fairing. From Shenzhou 5 to 11, they experienced a smaller in-orbit habit spaces. The Tianhe was much larger in comparison with previous missions. So Shenzhou 12 is a third stage, which is validation and construction of a Chinese space station. This is based on the competence of sending a man to outer space and all the technologies we validated from Shenzhou 6 to 11. So that's the difference between this one and the previous one. And also this time you can notice that we're using 3 rockets rather than 1 or 2 to send this station to outer space. We're using Wenchang Satellite Launching Center, Long March 5B, as well for the...
And also 7, the cargo
Yeah,
ship.
Long March 7 for the cargo, Long March 5B for the core modules, as well as the upcoming 2 modules. So the T-shape will be built by Long March 5B. Cargoes will be completed. The 4 cargo missions will be done by the Long March 7, and 3 manned mission will be done by Long March 2F. So 3 rockets, 2 launching sites are working simultaneously to complete the 12 missions that required for the space station.
Why don't we take a look at the model we have here on the table? I think we can have a close-up shot for that for our viewers. So Professor Yang, tell us more about these. What are these compartments we are looking at?
Well, you see that from this model in the middle is the core module, the yes, this one is the Tianhe 1 module. It has 2 compartments, the small cylindrical compartments on the front, and also the large cylindrical compartments. The small one has a diameter of 2.8 meters, and also the large one has a 4.2 meters. The small compartment mainly is for the living quarter of the astronauts. It has 3 bedrooms and have a toilet. Very interesting. And also
right here?
Yes, in this compartment. And also at the front there is a node. The node has 2 docking ports on the front and on the bottom, and also has 2 berthing ports. Berthing port is to not for docking, but to connect the experiment modules permanently. Yes, on the left and on the right. And also on the top there is EVA hatch. So for the EVAs, after the docking of the Wentian module, this hatch will be act as a backup. So this is the core module, and you may notice the 2 huge solar panels which use flexible. It's a flexible solar panels which have a more powerful output than the traditional solar panels. So this is also very light, but much more power output than the spacecraft before. So this is the core module, and at the end, on your side is the Tianzhou 2, or the Tianzhou cargo ship.
This is the cargo ship.
Yes, it has 3 configurations: fully pressurized, half pressurized, and fully unpressurized. For those unpressurized, they can bring some cargoes which should be mounted outside the station. So that's the cargo ship. On the front, just in front of the node, is the Shenzhou spaceship. Notice this is not the whole configuration. At the bottom, we can also dock another Shenzhou spaceship. During the turnover of the 2 expedition teams, we will have simultaneously 2 Shenzhou spaceships docked to this node. And also, you may on Yangdao side is Wentian experimental module, and there is a main airlock. The main airlock is a major EVA for the EVAs for the astronauts during the whole operational period of this station. And the Mengtian also has a hatch of unmanned airlock. If we can have some small objects, the astronauts can put it inside, and then the robotic arm pull these objects outside. So don't need the EVA of the astronauts, but just small objects to coming through the inside to the outside or the contrary direction. And also you see the 2 solar panels on the experiment modules is a little bit different from the one on the core module or the Shenzhou and the cargo spaceship. This is a very great progress of China Aerospace. You see that it has 2 axes. One is can rotating this side, and the other can rotating this side. So with the 2 axes, theoretically speaking, it can facing the direction of the sunlight with maximum efficiency, very similar to the International Space Station. So that is reason we call that although our Tiangong Space Station adopt a modular design, like the Mir, the third generation of space station, but the technology we used are the fourth generation, like the ISS. So although our scale is very small, but our efficiency, the experiments we can do is as good as those in the ISS.
All right, thank you, Dr. Yan. And we'll talk about this model a little bit later. And the 3 astronauts are set to lift off to help to build the country's first space station. CGTN's Ning Hong reports from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in Gansu Province.
3 veteran Chinese astronauts, Nie Haisheng, Liu Boming, and Tang Hongbo, will be the first to visit the core module of China's space station. Nie Haisheng, the commander of the mission, is a veteran astronaut. This will be his 3rd trip into space.
I have a lot of expectations. We need to set up our new home in space this time and test a series of new technologies. So the mission is tough and challenging. I believe with the 3 of us working closely together, doing thorough and accurate operations, we can overcome all challenges. We have the confidence to complete the mission.
Nie Haisheng has the experience of manually operating the Shenzhou spacecraft, and Tang Hongbo, who will be conducting his first space flight, is a senior astronaut who has spent the last 10 years training.
These 3 astronauts will facing a great challenge in space, not only because they will spend the next 3 months in space, but also they will be responsible for the testing of series of new technologies and equipments, including new spacesuits for spacewalk and also robotic arms.
The Shenzhou 12 spacecraft will dock with the Tianhe core module, forming together the Tianhe and the Tianzhou cargo ship.
These technological breakthroughs and capability verifications will lay a solid foundation for the subsequent construction and application of space stations, accumulating valuable experience.
The Tianhe core module is ready to accommodate its first visitors, with 3 independent bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and over 120 kinds of food. A new era awaits Chinese astronauts, who in future will be able to conduct routine operations in space. Ning Hong, CGTN, Jiuquan.
So we've moved the model of the space station closer to what you guys, gentlemen,
That's right.
talk to us a bit more of this. You earlier mentioned the spacesuit for extravehicular activities was ready in Tianzhou 2. So that's already in there,
Exactly.
Right? That's already up in space.
So the Tianzhou 2 has about 6.9 metric tons of resupplies to this station, including more than 2 tons of propellants and the other more than 4 tons of resupplies. For instance, the water, the food, and also the clothes for the 3 months of residence. And also, as I mentioned, the most important thing is the 2 EVA space suits. So today, the Shenzhou 12 will launch, and after maybe 6 hours, docked to the front docking port. And then the astronauts will open the front hatch of the orbital module of the Shenzhou spaceship and go into the node. And then go into this station.
And there's a
They will
hatch on top
transfer
of
the
that.
cargoes. They will transfer the cargoes from the Tianzhou 2 cargo ship. First, they open the rear hatch of the Tianhe 1 core module, and then open the front hatch of the Tianzhou 2 cargo ship, and then bring all the resupplies to the station. There are also the space for the cargoes inside our Tianhe module, usually in this large compartment. You may notice that this is main robotic arm on this station. It is very interesting. It has multiple connections, and also you may note that on the station there are multiple points, so the robotic arm can connect it to one point, and then the other end to the other one, so it can move along the station. This is very interesting. And also you see that in the future there will also a smaller robotic arm on this experimental module. And
All right. Looks like we have seen the 3 astronauts, that's the crew of Shenzhou 12 mission emerging from that building of Wentienge. This is the brief send-off ceremony ahead of the launch. There you see Tang Hongbo, one of the flight engineers. He's also the youngest among the crew. In the middle is the flight commander,
Nie Haisheng.
Nie Haisheng, a veteran space traveler.
That's right. He had 3 times experience.
This will
in
be
space,
his third
yes.
time, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the third time for. Nie Haisheng is reporting.
Commander, we are ready, acting the order of Shenzhou 12 mission. We are ready. Please indicate astronauts Nie Haisheng, astronauts Liu Boming, astronauts Tang Hongbo. Go. Yes, salute.
All right, after declaring their mission and given a go-ahead by the commander, the 3 astronauts are now waving to the crowds, posing for the camera for a bit before head off. There you have it, the crew of Shenzhou 12 mission.
Well, for more information, China will launch Nie Haisheng, Liu Boming, and Tang Hongbo into orbit aboard the spacecraft Shenzhou 12 at 9:22 a.m. or 1:22 GMT on June 17th from Jiuquan in northwestern Gansu province. Shenzhou 12 will be his 3rd space outing and the 2nd for Liu, Mr. Liu, who is 54, and the 1st space outing for Mr. Tang, who's 45. And we also have the backup astronauts for the mission on Thursday, are Zhai Zhigang 54, and Wang Yaping 41, and Ye Guangfu at 40.
And you can hear the loud cheerings from the crowds. I mean, there's no red carpet. This certainly feels like a red carpet event. I mean, lots of love and respect there. They were carrying that small suitcase. I believe that's the portable air conditioning unit. Is that?
Yes, that's the ventilation. Because
unit.
you know that it's very hot inside the EVA spacesuit, so they need a ventilation device and for the cooling the inside. So if
how are they going to use that? How are they going to use that? Is there tubes to connect?
There are
their
electricity
EVA suit?
batteries on the box in the box, and there are fans, turbo fences, and we can.
There they go.
If they go inside the cabin,
Bye bye.
They will connect the pipe to the spacecraft.
So they are now heading out to the pad. It's getting pretty exciting.
Today, confidently getting onto that van. The van is going to take them to the pad. It will take a few minutes for the van to get to the pad. I mean, this is a shared experience that we are enjoying right now as people from the world are watching this mission, and that's wonderful. I mean, it's filling us with joy and pride.
That's right. To talk about this, the EVA suits, Mr. Xu, so this is not first time that China's to carry out this outer space.
It's not really EVA suit.
That's not the EVA suit.
It's just for flight.
It's for intravehicular activities.
Yes.
For
These
launch
are
and re-entry.
IVA spacesuits.
It's the IVA suit.
There you see the national flag.
So the EVA has been stored in the cargo ship right now.
Yeah, they're going to you take some time to dress up.
So,
and notice that if once they're on board the Shenzhou 12, they'll be quite confined places. So forget about social distancing.
Yeah.
That's right.
They don't have to wear the mask.
Yeah.
At least from what I can see right now.
Or a helmet.
Yeah.
And these astronauts, all of them have been trained for more than 6,000 hours, right?
Yes.
A mix of newcomers, like you mentioned, and also veteran travelers. But why are these 3 being selected? What are the considerations there, Professor?
This is very reasonable. You see that this mission is very critical, as I mentioned, for our construction, and also as Yan Shuan mentioned, for the verification of the technologies. You see that during the docking, maybe something wrong happened to the automatic docking system, so we need manual docking. You see that during the Shenzhou 10 mission, Mr. Nie Haisheng, the chief commander of the Shenzhou 10 spaceship, performed the second manual docking, which is a very perfect one, docked with Tiangong 1 target vehicle. So this time, if anything wrong happened, theoretically speaking, all these 3 astronauts were trained for the manual docking. But you know that Mr. Nie Haisheng has the experience during the Shenzhou time mission. So he is more probably, if we need the manual docking, he will do it.
Yeah.
And also,
This is, sorry to interrupt, that was a great view. Oh, there you see the motorcade and the minivan taking the astronauts out to the pad. People there on the street. This is a great view of
That's
the Wentianke. This is the place where astronauts work and live at the launch
It's
site
hard to
before
believe it's in the
takeoff.
middle of desert,
A
Gobi
Desert, right?
Yeah.
So they really put some efforts there to make this environment comfortable for the astronauts before takeoff. And the astronauts conduct their final training and preparations there. They moved into the building about a week ago. Around the same time, the rocket leaves assembly building and being moved to the launch pad. And the crew lived there at a 3-bedroom suite. And before heading out, it's kind of a tradition that they sign on the door, but now I've learned that they change it to signing aboard, so I'm guessing they did that too.
I mean, their apartments in space is better than mine on the Earth, I thought. They have this, they have private room, they have a private space.
Yeah,
for them
they
to
each
sleep.
have one
They have
room.
a bigger living room.
Bigger living room, staying
Wi-Fi,
together.
everything.
Network a bit.
Even have their own spaceship.
Yeah, they got their own spaceship.
But it's a 7-kilometer distance from the habit areas to the launch pad, and another 400 to the station.
Yeah, and this is the Dongfeng Space City, located on the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. I had the chance to go there a couple years ago, reporting on the Shenzhou 9 mission, and it was great. It was like a modern city. There were schools there, there were lots of restaurants, hotels, and the road names are really interesting. There were Universe Road, and there are Space Road.
That's a city that's built from nothing.
Yeah, there's
In the
even
middle of the
karaoke's, you know, for the scientists to
and,
chill
and
out.
I like the food there.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
That was the very first launch site.
Yeah.
China.
What was the last time you you both visited the
I
Jiuquan
visited there the year
Center?
before last. So I also watched the launch complex. It's really impressive.
Oh.
I was there two years ago for the launch of the seismic study satellite.
And it's a massive site, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many launch sites do we have in China, and how
We
important
have
is this
4.
one?
We have 4, and this is the very first one. And then we have one in Sichuan. It's called the Wenchang Satellite Launch Center.
Well, Wenchang was
No,
at
sorry,
the Hainan Island, right?
Sichuan, we have
Xichang Satellite Launch Center.
and Taiwan.
Okay.
So these different launch sites
Have
are for
different
different
functions.
purpose, different rockets, different orbits.
Yeah, what was the consideration behind that? Because what, as you mentioned, Mr. Xu, this the China Space Station projects will be used 2 launching sites from.
Yeah.
One is from Wenchang, the Long March 5 and Long March 7 will
But
launch
the,
this.
the idea behind this is that the new generation launch vehicles are going to use liquid kerosene and oxygen rather than UDMH and nitrogen tetroxide. So conventional launch site, the three we mentioned, the Taiwan, the Xichang, and this one Jiuquan, is for conventional fuel. So Wenchang has completely new fueling system, kerosene, oxygen, hydrogen only.
Yeah.
So that's for new generation launch vehicles. And we're using 3 kinds of launch vehicles for the diameters and size and the cargo requirements. But the manned mission is still in Jiuquan.
And also the Wenchang is close to sea, so we can.
Yeah, the
for
drop
the
zone
bigger-
is more
yeah.
safer. Yes, because once you launch the satellite, the stages comes off, and you drop the stages into an uninhabited area, safer to the population.
Yeah, this means you can use the ship to carry out this, because the Long March 5 is 5 meters diameter. It's too big to.
Exactly. You see that our old generation, Long March 2, 3, and 4 carrier rocket has a maximum diameter of 3.35 meters.
Yeah,
That was
3.35,
due to the limit of the railway tunnels, because the part of the rocket should be transported to the launch site by train. So it is limited by the diameter of the railway tunnels. Because as you had, Yan Song has mentioned, the Long March 5 and Long March 7 will shipping to the station from Tianjin. Tianjin to the Qinglan seaport in Hainan province. So there is no limit. Theoretically speaking, in the future, if we can have a super heavy launch vehicle to launch astronauts to the moon, we will absolutely use the Wenchang launch site. But notice that Wenchang is called the Wenchang spacecraft launch site. It is charged by the Xichang Satellite Launch Center. So the same team.
The Xichang is supervised.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
What a remarkable view we've just seen there with the Gobi Desert in the background and then almost an oasis here. And you're continuing to see the motorcade escorting the 3 astronauts, the crew for Shenzhou 12 mission heading toward the launch pad. And it's almost interesting, we just did see a bit of a cheerleading event there, but things are getting quieter now. I suppose we're getting close to the launch pad. Well, it's a big day for the whole team there, right? For the launch site.
That's right. How long is that distance from Wentango to the launch pad?
About 7 kilometers.
Wow.
20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
15, 20
Not very
minutes.
far.
And people have been asking why didn't we see female astronauts for this time?
That as announced by the China Manned Space Agency, Ms. Wang Yaping is the backup crew, belongs to backup crew. So
she's flown before, right?
So this time there is no difference from to accomplish tasks. There is no difference from the male or female astronauts, just according to their scores during the training.
Oh.
So the Mr. Nie Haisheng's team has the highest score, so they were chosen for this mission. But the backup is also very great.
So they already formed a team before taking the test.
Yes, three astronauts as one group, and they were training together. If one group has a high score, it will be chosen as a major crew members. And also with the second score, the three group will chosen as a backup crew.
Do they get to choose their teammates, or they're assigned?
This
She is shaking his head.
It's not up to them.
Like, no, not a chance.
But
you don't have a chance.
That the backup team, Mr. Zhai Zhigang, as we have mentioned, also has the experience of EVA. He is the first one in China to perform an EVA in space.
spacewalk.
So that is the reason I believe he was chosen as a very important backup crew because he has much experience in this EVA. And Yaping is chosen because that during the Shenzhou 10 mission, which were also performed 2 docking with the Tiangong 1 target vehicle. So although the docking is performed by Mr. Nie Haisheng, who is the chief commander of the Shenzhou 10, but Yaping was just on his side. So Yaping also has this experience. Also, I believe were trained for this mission. So all these crews are experienced, and only one new crew member, Mr. Yu Guangfu, who also belongs to the second batch of our astronauts. So the 3 backup crew also, I believe, is well qualified for this mission.
Mr. Yan, I just noticed that you posted a picture with the astronaut who's been selected to this mission.
You've got personal contacts with them.
I think both of you
How
have
cool
the personal.
is that?
I think both of you have the private relationship with those astronauts. So tell us more about their.
What are they like?
Yeah, what they're like in a daily life.
Well, they are a very good person and very kind, very friendly, and also they are eager to. As I mentioned, it is very impressive. They also recognize the outreach and the scientific popularization as their duty to the public. Mr. Nie Haisheng also, during our meeting together, he also mentioned the training tools for the manual docking to children. He experienced.
We are going to be switching to the CCTV Plus footage, so stand by. Okay, we are good. So yeah, they're still driving to the launch site right now. T-minus 2 hours and 32 minutes, and yeah, I'll be back in a little bit.
The Long March 5 is not big enough, so we need a super heavy launch vehicle. The you know that on
gonna
the
be Long March 9.
Yeah, maybe Long March 9. It has already exhibited in the windows of our CASC and CASIC. So Long March 9, we already do some preparation. For instance, the 510 level thrust big rocket engines. We've already testing many necessary technologies for these rocket engines. So this, I believe that sooner or later we can have these potential lunar missions.
And as we speak, the 3 astronauts, they are on their way to the launch pad. And if you're just joining us, you're watching our special coverage of the Shenzhou 12 mission. The Long March 2F rocket carrying the Shenzhou 12 mission will lift off at the time of 9:22 Beijing time. And when that happens, we are going to bring it live to you all the way through. And I'm just wondering, you know, sitting on that van, when do you think the astronaut got up this morning? Did they have breakfast?
Maybe earlier
What was
than
it
us.
like in the morning of the big day?
Maybe earlier than us because they have to suit up.
They have to suit up.
And before suit up, they have to do a complete health check and complete all personal things. I think probably 3 o'clock, 3:30, they got up.
Yeah, yesterday I was told that they would get up at 3.
Yeah.
So
3 a.m.
3 a.m.
And they've already put on the suit. After they put on the suit, do they get to go to the bathroom, or they have put on
They
diapers?
have to do the bathroom thing first.
And they're going to have a very long day.
Yeah.
And also, they should have diaper inside, but this diaper is specially designed, much more
space
high performance
Space
than the
diaper.
diaper we use daily.
High
daily life.
capacity diaper.
But actually, the diaper today, the baby diaper was the firstly used
There
by
you
astronauts.
have it.
in
So
outer
the
space.
astronauts
A
I
look
mentioned.
at the launch tower.
Yeah.
But you cannot see the rocket at the time, right? Because that's enclosed in that steel structure, the blue steel structure. But as we get close to the launch, the retractable platform on that umbilical tower is going to open up, releasing the rocket. Then you can see the full view of the launch vehicle.
Well, the launch pad has something very special. It has a lift go up, but it has a tube to go down. It's like a
Talk
garbage
to us
tube.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do have the white one. If you're
Yeah.
looking at this video, and you can see this,
On the
there is
left
the white
side.
line on the left side. That's his escape route.
No, escape route is just inside. It's like it's a garbage tube, but it's inside is with rubber. So
the
if there's
astronaut can
in
jump
case of
in.
emergency, they have a dumper bunker underneath.
Yeah.
So the
So
in
that's
case
an emergency escape
emergency
system.
escape. Yeah. The rocket itself, as well as the launch pad, is designed for safety. On the launch pad, you have the escape tube, but during the launch, you have the escape tower
Yes.
on the top. And then in orbit, you have also recovered capsule. So that recent incident from Russia was 100 kilometers altitude, but they escaped safely. So they have arrived.
So the crew arriving at the launch tower, there see the tube right
Yeah, you can
there.
see the Gobi Desert on back of on the.
Yeah, a fantastic view. There, the astronauts will hop on an elevator, which will take them up to the 9th floor. I guess that is the floor where they will get into the spacecraft. But they will get into the spacecraft through the orbital module, right?
They will go inside the Shenzhou space from the side hatch of the orbital module. And then you know that they will go down to the re-entry capsule.
Re-entry capsule.
And then the hatch of the side module will be sealed. And as Yansong has mentioned, during this phase, if anything wrong happened to the launch vehicle, they will use the emergency escape system.
And for those of you who are wondering, it won't be a free fall. There are resistance material inside that tube, so that they will, slide down safely and arrive into the bunker.
And Long March 2F is the tallest rocket in the Long March family. It's got like 58 meters high.
58
just
meters,
because they have the extra height of that escape tower.
Yes.
The escape tower
on
is
top of the fairing.
yeah.
When this whole structure open up, and you
We
can
can
see
get a
this,
clear
you can
view.
get a clear view. of
There you
that.
see the crew getting out of the van, waving to the crowds, big smiles on their face. Nie Haisheng leading the team, followed by flight engineers Liu Boming and Tang Hongbo.
我们在北京等你们凯旋而归。
All right, that's Nia Haisheng reporting to Chief Commander before departure. They look pretty chill to me. Of course, the media is documenting everything.
Yeah.
Staffs are waiting there to assist them. And it is 6:52 Beijing time.
And our launching window is 9:22. That means they're going to stay there for quite a long time.
Quite a long time, two and a half
They
hours.
They have performed multiple check-ins.
Yeah. What they have to do during this period of time?
So when they get into the cabin, they should check the air tightness of their spaceship. You know that disaster happened before during the former Soviet Union, the Soyuz 11 missions. During the re-entry, because the 3 astronauts had not wearing IVA space suits, because a valve have some malfunction, the pressure lowering down to a almost vacuum condition, and the 3 astronauts died during this course. So this is after this mission, all the spaceship, including those for the former Soviet Union and the U.S., all during the launch and during the landing, they must wearing the IVA spacesuits. But for the IVA spacesuits, if we want it to work properly, we must check if the airtight sealings is properly done. So this must be checked, and also they must check the many parameters of the spaceship, including those for the emergency escape and for the handling operation of the spaceship. So they must check everything. That needs time.
And also, the astronauts stays there. After they complete the checkings, they have to do a hands-off thing because it's a rocket launch, rather than an astronaut operation. So the rocket has to be unlocked and fueled and checked and launched. So they're waiting basically for the launch vehicle to be ready. So they also complete their checking and they do like a hands-off thing and wait for the launch to happen.
Yes. This Long March 2F rocket is called human-rated launch vehicle, which means it's qualified to carry humans into space. Which is the only one. In the future, Long March 7 is also potentially, hopefully, to become a second human-rated launch vehicle for China for the new generation's spaceship. So at that era, we can send 6 to 7 astronauts to our station with only one launch. But for the moon missions, we need bigger ones. This Long March 2F, the reliability of this launch vehicle is 0.97 or 97%. You know that this is not enough, safe enough for astronauts because.
I'm sorry. There you see the crew entering the small area where they can get access to the spacecraft, sitting on the chairs, patiently waiting. What kind of final checks up will they go through here?
Yeah, the ground staff will check, as Yan Song has mentioned, their medical parameters, their health condition, and also some instruments on their spaceship. And they will help them to get inside.
So it looks like they have now arrived and they are just getting ready. So yeah.
To go inside, especially protect their helmet, not to be clapped with the side of the hatch. So this is very important to ensure their safety. And I believe at this current stage, the ground staff is still inside the Shenzhou spaceship to check everything.
Okay.
Right, you said
we are seeing staff wearing different colors of uniform, some in blue, some in white. Mr. Xu, what are their jobs?
The blue part is just like a constraints, not to explode the suit because they.
No, I mean the ground
staff.
You
mean this ground crew? Okay.
Yes.
So they're taking off their shoes, I think.
No,
what they're trying to do is that.
Are they engineers? Are they rocket scientists? Because
no, they're just like a servant to the astronauts, like valets
to help them.
Personal valets.
Get into the spacecraft.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not that easy to walk in that heavy suit.
They don't need to walk anymore once they're in outer space. They're floating. So they're changing.
Yeah, I really want to try that kind of suit.
I
Without
want that
training,
too.
it's very difficult for you to vary it. Very difficult.
Yeah?
Yes,
You
it's
must
very-
have some training.
Oh yeah, to get into the suit.
You cannot even put on your shoes by yourself. You have to. You need help from others.
So yeah, you know that inside still there are ventilation pipes for the cooling.
Yeah.
Because it's airtight ceiling, so if we don't have a ventilation system, it will be very hot. So that is reason, as we have discussed, they have a box to connect to the. There is a pipe connected to the suit, and after they get into the cabin, there will the pipe will directly connect it to the re-entry capsule for the ventilation. And also, this ventilation not can only do this, but also provide oxygen during emergency cases. You know that the helmet will close during the liftoff. If the cabin has lost its pressure, the oxygen will be provided from the pipe.
All right, that's a great split screen showing you the different angles of the capsule now. I guess two on the right are showing you the inside of the capsule, two on the left showing outside capsule. And I think the upper right one where you are seeing, it's the area behind the 3 seats in the returning capsule. And the hole right there is the hatch connecting the returning capsule to the service capsule,
Exactly.
I guess.
You see that on the top left is the camera towards the side hatch.
That's the entrance.
Yes, the entrance.
the fairing,
Actually
yeah.
speaking, on the orbital module, the side hatch. So the 3 astronauts go one by one into this first into this hatch, and then go down to the re-entry capsule.
You can see there's like a slide that they will slide the astronauts in.
Slide down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we speak, how many ground staffs are there approximately at the launch tower, and when will they leave the launch tower?
I think there are roughly 12 or 14
So not that
people
many.
there.
Not that many.
And there has to be inside the hatch to help the astronauts to enter the service module and then go up to the return capsule. So they have to physically help them to move in to the space space capsule.
Ah, the crew.
Well, since the astronauts is
smiling and
waving to the camera, it seems they're really relaxed.
Excited. Ah, they look
They're
pretty
fully
chill to
prepared,
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and then the crew has to leave at the about the people who are serving the astronauts will be in the bunker underneath the launch pad. So they will not go to the habited areas there or the control center. They will just stay there just in case anything happens.
Also, talk to us a bit more about this split screen. We've just talked about the upper left and upper right. What about the bottom right one? That's a top view of the re-entry capsule. You're looking down at the 3 astronaut seats, right? And there are also lots of packages on the wall, hanging on the wall. What are they?
They are. That's a view of the orbital module. You know that the orbital module is also served as the place to store the cargoes, about 300
Isn't that
kilograms.
the re-entry module where there are 3 astronaut seats?
The bottom right is the re-entry capsule.
Yes, we were talking about.
So the bottom up is camera towards the orbital module inside. So you know that, as I mentioned, we have a capability of uploading 300 kilograms of cargoes to the station in the orbital module. You know that, as Yan Song has mentioned, the Shenzhou space has a different role after we come into the space station era. During the Shenzhou 5 and the Shenzhou 6 mission, it is act as performing scientific research, scientific experiments. But for a mission to the station, it is just a transportation vehicle. So the orbital module can use to store some cargoes, including some time-sensitive materials, because you know that we need a very short time. For instance, if in future maybe some animals for testing during the station. So this is fit because we can just put it in just several hours before the launch. So this is very necessary. And also, you know that there are also some food and supplies. You know, in emergency cases, which if the Shenzhou space cannot dock with the station, they should go back. But maybe they need time, maybe several days. So the astronaut also needs this kind of supplies.
Well, let me clarify this. So the astronaut their seats are in the re-entry.
Re-entry
module.
capsule,
Re-entry
exactly.
capsule.
3 seats.
They got 3 seats in there. They're going to sit there. But if something happened, do they need to climb up to the escaping tower or something?
No.
The escape tower will
takes the capsule.
Oh, they will take that.
Yeah.
Basically, that works to pull the capsule away, far enough away from the rocket
Yes,
to ensure
exactly.
the
You know that
parachute.
the Shenzhou space has
opens
three
up.
parts: the orbital module, the re-entry capsule, and the propulsion module. And during the emergency case, the connection between the re-entry capsule and the propulsion module will be cut off. And the emergency escape system lift off from the rocket and then take the orbital module and the re-entry capsule away from the rocket.
Okay, so this escaping tower is the only parts to provide thrust for the re-entry models to get
Yes,
to get away
and the
from
requirement to the emergency escape system is that even if on the launch pad, on the launch complex,
they could blast off.
they
away.
could blast off and to a very high altitude, safe for deploy the parachute.
With the core rocket still standing there.
Yes. So this too happened during the launch of the former Soviet Union's Soyuz spaceship.
Soyuz ship.
You could
Oh.
see, you could hear
All right,
from.
the flight commander is about to slide in the spacecraft. Again, he will be entering the orbiting module, and then from there, he will enter the re-entry module and take his seat.
You may notice they need help of the ground staff.
Yes, and
To slide
another
in.
staff inside the
Inside.
capsule assisting him as well.
This is a view from the orbital module.
To pull his legs.
And we should interview this person. And what was the words the astronaut talked to? Because
Right before launch.
yeah, he is the last person
Who
this
talked
astronaut talked to.
Well, the flight commanders will talk to him in comms.
Okay, so they're now getting into the capsule right now. So yeah, 2 hours and 15 minutes and counting, and before we see a launch. So pretty exciting.
He's going to be the last one to get into that.
Probably.
Well, he will either be
maybe this is Hongbo
Liu
or
Boming or Tang Hongbo, right?
It's based on their sitting position.
That's
you know,
right.
they have to sit on side and.
So the commander will sit in the
In
middle.
the middle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll wait to see
So
we
he will
get
be the
a
last
clear
one to
look.
go inside.
Will their families be watching?
I believe so.
Will they be watching at the launch site?
I believe
Yeah.
maybe it is a tradition that their family, their relatives will go to see the launch, to watch the launch.
Or because of the communications, as you have heard from the background, there are checks and checks because there are a number of stations that is doing the telemetry tracking and control, TTNC, and that's lied along with the launch track. So number of stations, including also ocean-going boats, have their antennas ready and ready for the mission. So communication is going to be important once it's launched.
Here we are, another astronaut getting into the orbital module, and we cannot be sure who that is, but we will tell you once we get a clear visual of them.
One of the three.
One of the three.
So this one will go to the other side.
So I've just heard from our control room director, it's going to be in the order of Tang Hongbo, Liu Boming, and lastly, Nie Haisheng. So this
Luke Fuller
is...
will sit in between them.
So the first who got in was the
This
youngest.
is Boming. This is Liu Boming.
And now this
So
is
Liu
Liu
Boming is
Boming.
waving to the camera.
This
It's on
will
the far
be
side.
Liu Boming's second space mission. He has flown on the Shenzhou 11 mission, is that right? Shenzhou, no, sorry.
Shenzhou 7 mission.
Yeah, Shenzhou 7 mission.
During the
EVA.
Shenzhou 7 mission, he wears the all-land spacesuit from Russia to help Mr. Zhai Zhigang, who wears the Feitian spacesuit.
Their maiden spacewalk.
Yeah.
So for this time, are they all wearing made in China suits?
Exactly. So this time we will have an improved version of our Feitian spacesuits to perform the more complicated EVA. So this one must be Mr. Nie Haisheng.
Right, the commander of this mission. His third flight.
You may notice that just on the top there is an object which also belongs to the emergency escape rocket. During the launch, after the jettisoning of the
Escape
emergency
tower.
escape tower, this may work if anything wrong happens.
So that's for a higher level flight, right?
Exactly, on
After
a higher
this
altitude.
tower separation, if there is an event of an emergency, the fairing also have the engine, like Professor Yang just pointed out, and that will kick in, and that'll take astronauts away from the rockets, I guess.
You can see on the left side of Nihai shown the hatch between the service module and the recovered capsule.
That hatch will be closed after they get into.
What do you think he's doing now? He's holding this board,
Yes,
checking out some
there are
lists?
items on the paper. So he will check one by one. So if this parameter is okay, the next one. So he must check everything should be okay. The same routine since Yang Liwei's Shenzhou 5 mission, all the same.
What kind of content will be on that checklist?
For instance, maybe some switch should be in the right position, and also there are some parameters echoed on the instruments, so they must check everything is okay.
I have to familiarize with the service module because the service module interior has some cargoes, and once they're in space, they have to know where exactly what is where. So he's tracking. Just in case the ground crew has left, and for the last minute information to keep everything in position in the service module.
And they also have a handbook. So during the launch process, they can visit this handbook to help them if anything wrong happened, all kinds of malfunctions, they can deal with that.
Yeah.
So this is also very useful and very helpful.
They spend a lot of time on
emergency
reading.
trainings.
That's right. Right before this launch day.
6,000 hours each.
Yeah.
So talk to us about these trainings. I mean, they also take training to help them to withstand the G-forces during a rocket launch, right?
Exactly. They must be trained. You know that in China's astronaut center, there is this kind of facility to simulate the overload or the G-forces up to 8G. So you know that during the launch, usually we only experience 3 to 4G. But in the emergency escape, they may experience up to 8, even 9G. So the astronauts must be trained, although usually this will not happen.
But there was a case where there was a Korean astronaut. She experienced 12G because the maximum the human body can tolerate is 13G. And then after that, you die.
Yeah.
So, but she came back safely.
She's pretty close, that close to death.
Yeah, when they are asking her how her feeling was, and she said it was very sportive.
What you mentioned is Miss So Yin-yi, who is the first female astronaut of Korean, who is also my friend.
Yeah.
And about the emergency trainings we were talking about, I guess when there's an emergency in space, you really don't have much time to think, right? You have to take action immediately, but what kind of major emergencies will they be encountering when they're in space? Depressurization, what kind of scenarios? Fire.
Depressurization is the most fatal things happened. So they must have IVA spacesuits to protect themselves to increase the reliability for survival. You see that during the liftoff and during the critical points, for instance, such as the docking, rendezvous and the docking, and during the re-entry, they must wear their IVA spacesuits. And also to, as I mentioned, first they should check the airtight sealings.
All right. So
what are they doing now?
If you're listening to the radio, if you cannot watch this the video right now, if you listen through the China Radio International, that we can brief you that the 3 astronauts are in position in their re-entry capsule. So well, it seems they're quite busy preparing for the final check.
So what are they doing now?
You can see Hongbo has just taken out a handbook from the bag. So they must check everything.
That's the flight manual. In the middle, what is Nie Haisheng holding? That yellow bag. What's inside of that?
He's putting everything inside a bag because once you're in space, you're floating, and everything floats. So it has to be in a everything has to be attached to something. So he's putting anything extra into the bag so it doesn't float around and affects the flight itself. So they're holding the book, the flight schedule or flight book, so they have to check and tick everything, And during the whole process, everything has to be kept in a bag and put somewhere so it doesn't float once it's in outer space.
Yes.
It takes just 10 minutes to get there.
Wow. And what is that big orange package hanging on the wall just behind their seats? Do you
We didn't
see
get a
on the bottom
view.
on the bottom right screen? There's an orange big package there.
I think
Is
that's
that the lifeboat?
No, I think it's probably lifeboat. Coming back in case of emergency, lifeboat or a parachute, something like that.
I mean, if you're landing on a
usually
sea.
there are some resupplies. For instance, in some special cases, maybe you cannot go into the orbital module. Most of the food are stored in the orbital module. So during the liftoff, usually they should also store a little small amount of food, water inside the re-entry capsule. In case that for instance, if the hatch have some malfunction, they cannot open it, or something wrong happened to the orbital module. For instance, such as depressurization. So they must have something inside this, and also that they even have a pistol, they even have a gun. In the
They're about
capsule.
where they,
that during the emergency escape, they may land it anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe in the forest,
Yeah.
maybe in the grassland. So
That's
maybe
right.
there are wild animals. They must protect themselves. And also there are some echoes for the rescue teams to find them more easily.
I think that kind of emergency happened to the
Russians,
U.S.
Russian,
Russian.
yes, especially during the Voskhod 2 mission. After the first EVA by Leonov, Mr. Belayev and Leonov landed to an unpredicted site, and no one can find them. So they must protect themselves, even with the gun.
But it's been said that new technologies has been added to the spacecraft to make sure that they have a more precise landing spot.
Yes, it also has a positioning device such as our Beidou receiver and so on. So they can send the signals to show the ground rescue team where they are.
And one thing to notice is that this time they have changed the landing site.
That's right. It used to be in Inner Mongolia.
It's still in Inner Mongolia, but it's the proximity is closer to the launch site.
To the launch site.
So the logistic is easier. Otherwise, it takes a long time for a rescue team to go there, and you have to search it with helicopters and everything. But with the new landing site, probably it's much easier to receive the signals, the radio beacons and everything, and the rescue team can get there easily and provide better logistic and safety.
And that is also a very critical mission for this time to verify this re-entry site. This is going to be their first time to use that?
Yeah, it's the first time they're going to use the new landing site, and that also requires a lot of control in orbit, and also a lot of TTNC and telescope, let's say, and all the facilities that you need to guarantee a safe landing.
And you're
What Yan Song has mentioned is called Dongfeng landing site.
Yeah, Dongfeng
not
landing
the
site.
Sizhiwang banner landing site this time. So this is
Dongfeng
the
landing
first
site
time we
is
use
at
that.
the Jiuquan Launch
Exactly.
Center, right?
And also it is very interesting that that this is Shenzhou 12 mission. The Shenzhou 13 mission, the Shenzhou 13 spaceship, and the
It's already
Long March
there. I think it's already there.
Y13 will use as a backup for emergency rescue. So it will stand there in the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. So if the Shenzhou 12 can go back safely, it will use for the formal mission. But this will form a traditional procedure in the future that the next mission, the next spaceship and the launch vehicle will act as a rescue for the former ones.
And it is 7:15 a.m. Beijing time. We are a little bit more than 2 hours away from the final liftoff.
Yeah.
The rocket is scheduled to lift off at 9:22 Beijing time. But how is that launch window being chosen? I mean, how much error in time is considered acceptable? How much is not?
1 second.
1 second.
The launch is called a zero launch window. The reason is that that our Tianhe-1 and the Tianzhou-2 combination is orbiting the Earth with a speed more than 7.8 kilometers per second, very fast. So the basic requirement for this Shenzhou 12 is to entering orbit with the same orbital plane. Okay, we heard from the chief commander announce some information. So the only choice for us is that that the launch site is rotating together with the Earth. So every day there is a time that the launch site passing through the orbital plane of our Tianhe 1. So we can only launch our Shenzhou 12 at this moment. So that is the reason the launch
Every
window
second counts.
is restricted to 1 second, which we call the zero launch window. But there is another thing. You see that they can go into the same orbital plane, but usually when the Shenzhou spaceship come into the orbit, they are not usually in the same position. So usually we launch the Shenzhou spacecraft into an orbit with the same orbital plane as the Tianhe, but lower. With the lower orbit, it will rotate faster around surrounding the Earth. So it can, as a chasing vehicle, which become closer and closer, finally they can dock together.
So what about if we miss that window due to maybe
You
weather?
should need another day.
That would be another day.
Because you know that today we choose, as we mentioned, the fast rendezvous and docking, which take maybe only 6 hours every day for the 2 days interval. Every day for the 2 days interval. But for the 6 hours, maybe not every day. So if today's launch window is missed, we may choose another day. Maybe not tomorrow.
As you can see, they're putting on their seat belts on, and actually, this is a look inside the re-entry module of the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft. The room is quite limited.
Very narrow.
Yeah, not much room for the 3 astronauts.
As I mentioned, the total volume of the orbital module and the re-entry capsule is only 7 cubic meters.
So
it's
he's
very,
using
very small.
his leg and foot to lift the book.
So how long does they have to stay in this tiny space before they docking?
During the whole launch.
After launch, maybe 6 hours.
6 hours
per day.
So they have to stay in that tiny space for about 6 hours.
Because this is to the consideration is to go along with the international standard. You know that today the Soyuz spaceship usually uses faster rendezvous and docking, only 6 hours, 6.5 hours to the station. And today the progress even achieved 3 hours. From the launch to docking with the station, only 3 hours. So we also we tested this technology during the in 2017 during the Tianzhou 1 mission.
Yep.
After undocking, we simulated the fast rendezvous and docking from the Tianzhou 1 to the Tiangong 2 space laboratory. And also, you know that just 1 month before, our Tianzhou 2 cargo ship also adopted this fast rendezvous and docking. Only 8 hours from the launch to docking with the Tianhe 1 core module.
Yeah. And even though they have to stay in that tiny space for about 6 or 7 hours,
They will be very convenient.
They'll be very convenient.
Yeah.
But the whole flight process.
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
It
You
just
see
need to take like 10 minutes to take them to the orbit. It's very fast to get there. So which part of that period, during that period, which part is most unbearable or is make them most uncomfortable? At first
I believe
or in the middle?
During the working of the rocket. So as Yan-Song have mentioned, the bag will floating after they go into the orbit. But during the launch, there will be very violent vibration. So also the bag must be fixed there very tightly, not only floating in outer space. So the astronauts will experience the G load and also the vibration. They must be trained for this to adapt that. During their
and I still
training.
remember Mr. Yang Liwei mentioned that during his first flights to the outer space, that this kind of the vibration is making him feel very, very uncomfortable.
Yeah, there is what we call a pogo. Pogo is similar to the jerk of the car, but 10 times greater.
Yeah.
So you don't feel very comfortable. It's not a smooth ride. It's the rocket that is shaking and in very low frequency.
And you can see Nie Haisheng holding this long stick. Well, right in front of them, where you cannot see, is a control panel where there are buttons on the control panel, and he's using that stick to, press on the buttons. And it's said that the buttons on the panel are usually bigger than the usual ones, and they are further apart because the astronauts will be wearing spacesuits and gloves. It's easier for them to use.
Yes, they have put on their gloves, as you can see that they're testing all the communications, all the parameters. And as they are on the ground, they're taking full advantage of the time to check and recheck all the system with the ground crew before they disconnect from the ground and flight to outer space. So taking this full time to double check everything with the command center is very important at this moment.
And they also need to connect all the pipes on their spacesuit to the spacecraft, right? Oxygen supply, airflow,
Yes.
comm system, monitoring system.
Yes. As I mentioned, there is a pipe connecting the inside instruments to to their spacesuits to provide ventilation and oxygen. And you know that because of the vibration I mentioned, so they must be fixed on the seat very tightly.
It is T minus 2 hours, 2 hours prior to
Exactly.
liftoff.
So at this stage, we use the power supply from the ground, not by the battery inside the. This is to save the energy of the batteries inside the spaceship, and also the same thing to the rocket carrier rocket. So only about several seconds before the launch, we just disconnect all the connectors, and then the power supply transfer from the ground to the vehicle itself. Just to save the energy,
Then
because
the
we
rocket is
only
on
have
its own.
limited amount of energy before the unfolding of the solar panels. So we must saving this energy. This is the same procedure for all spacecraft launch.
Yeah, and they have completed several drills already in the past couple of days, but this time, this is the real deal. I mean, the launch phase is the most dangerous phase of the whole flight, right? Because you have multi-metric tons of fuels burning every second. It's extremely risky, and that's a violent energy exchange. And
Think about you're sitting on the tons of toxic propellant.
More than 500 tons. More than 500 tons of propellants.
Yes.
The propellants for Long March 2F are UDMH, or unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrazine, and nitrogen tetroxide. The UDMH is highly toxic, and the NTO, or the nitrogen tetroxide, is highly corrosive.
That's right.
So it is very dangerous, but also have advantages. So they can be stored in room temperature.
Yes.
And so they can.
So we're not going to see any of that, the white gas that coming out of the
there is
tube,
no
the
sorry to
fueling
interrupt.
tube.
There is the level 4 retractable platform of the umbilical tower opening up. Soon you will. Oh, there is the escape
I have
tower.
already I got the view of the escaping tower already. On
Looks
top
like
of the fairing.
Looks like a mini rocket. Well, I say it's mini, but it's 8 meters long. It's taller than me, but
Yeah.
compared to the Long March rocket, it's mini tiny.
It is the mini rockets, but with 6 solid motors.
3 motors. One is used for emergency escape. One is for the separation in normal cases.
That's
and
right.
one is for attitude control.
Oh.
Here's the close-up shot.
So there are multiple rotational platforms. You know that our launch complex is very reasonable, and also the launch complex in Wenchang also adopted a similar design. So you know that the rotational platforms can provide a closed space for the rocket and the spaceship complex. So that provides a very good condition for this vehicle. Even they will not be influenced by the rains or the sunstorms.
And the whole umbilical tower has 4 major segments. The one that's opening up is the top segment, level 4 segment. And after this, level 1 and level 2 segments closer to the ground will open, revealing the stage 1 and stage 2 rocket. And lastly, in the end, the third, level 3 segment will open, revealing the spacecraft. That's where the astronauts are staying right now.
We're talking about the rocket design. Some say that the Long March 2F is the 2.5 stages. Some
Exactly.
say it's 2 stages. What that means?
The half stage means the 4 boosters.
The side booster is
yes, exactly. The 4 boosters use the same engine as the first stage, but the first stage uses 4 engines.
Yeah.
But each booster only uses 1 engine. Each have a thrust of 75 tons. So this is a configuration of the 4 boosters. The diameter of the booster is 2.25 meters, and the core stage has a diameter of 3.35 meters, as we mentioned. And also the second stage is shorter than the first stage, but also with the same diameter. It uses the engine is the same as the first stage, but it is a vacuum version, which means that the nozzle is bigger, and the what we call the specific impulse is higher than the first stage. Yes. So it will work much longer than the first stage. So that is the reason, because of the 4 boosters, we call it a 2.5 stage rocket.
Yes, the Long March 2F is going to be the vehicles to launch all of our 3 astronauts into China's space station, and this is the safest rocket so far in China, I think. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. So far, there are just 3 types of rockets that are qualified to launch human into space. The Russia's Soyuz that Mr. Yang mentioned, and China's Long March 2F, and SpaceX's Falcon 9.
Yeah.
Well, the current operational ones, yes. And
yeah.
Previously, we also have space shuttles, the Saturns, and many other that has been used.
So maybe this year or next year, the Atlas V will also carry the Starliner into space. If successful, it will be also another operational human-rated launch vehicle.
You know, that reminds me of a very interesting conversation between me and some of the rocket engineering. So, but let's say we're going to have a business trip to Shanghai. You're going to book the air tickets. They didn't choose.
We're hearing a countdown.
That's a rehearsal. That's
a rehearsal.
Sorry, you were
saying? Yeah, you can book the air tickets, right? You can choose from whatever the Airbus 350 or the Boeing 737. You can pick up the type of the plane that you want to take on. And now, what? Let me ask you this, Cho-Yang. If you were going to space, what type of the rocket are you going to pick up from the Long March family? There is about, what, 10 rockets to choose?
Really? Isn't this the only one rocket that can carry men to space, the Long March 2F?
So far it is. But are you going?
Then the Long March 2F it is.
I really wants to try the Long March 5. It's bigger. It's probably more comfortable.
Improvement to change it to a human-rated launch vehicle. You know, in the Long March 2F, there is a very special system called a malfunction detection system. This is unique, not on the other launch vehicles. For this, if we can test anything wrong, because the software is very, very complex. It monitors everything, and if anything happened, will ignite the emergency escape system. As we mentioned, the reliability of this Long March 2F is 0.97. So that's not safe for astronauts. That means for 100 launch, there may be 3 missions threaten the safety of the astronauts. So we have another emergency escape system, including the emergency escape tower and also rocket engines on the payload fairing. With this help, we can raise the reliability to 0.997, which means for 1,000 launch, only 3 cases may threaten the safety of the astronauts. So that will be safe enough for the human beings. So that's the reason we call this a human-rated launch vehicle with the help of the malfunction detection system and the emergency escape system.
A very reliable rocket, I would say. But what other upgrades has the rocket been going through since its first launch in 1999?
Exactly. It is very interesting that, that Shenzhou 1 is not a formal model.
They're in, ready to go.
Because that we want to check the Long March 2F rocket. So as Jensen has mentioned, during the Long March 5 launch, we tested the prototype of a new generation. So it is a similar thing happened to the Shenzhou 1. Usually the Shenzhou 1 is originally the engineering model, not prepared for formal flight. But during that mission, it's changed to we can recognize as a piggyback payload for the Long March 2F. But that's also a very successful mission.
As you can see, not much going on inside the re-entry module. Things are pretty static now. The 3 astronauts looking at their flight manual, going through some final status checks.
Yes, just several minutes before, when we are talking, we heard the voice of the commanders. They just performed preliminary training, simulates the liftoff process. When we heard the sound, that's maybe the last simulation before the launch. We often see this kind of things during the launch of Shenzhou 7 and the Shenzhou 8 missions.
Less than 2 hours away from a final liftoff.
And even a Long March 2F is the most reliable rocket type so far. Well, Mr. Yang, you just mentioned it will be replaced by the Long March 7 in the future?
In the future, that's
or are they going to use
new,
the same time?
The new generation of our Shenzhou, our new generation spaceship has two versions. One for low Earth orbit missions, which has a mass about 13 to 14 tons, which can be launched by Long March 7. So that spaceship can bring 6 astronauts into our Tiangong space station. Maybe in the future we can do this. And also, as I mentioned, another version we'll use for the potential human missions to the moon, but need a bigger rocket.
So what Yang is talking about is a new generation capsule, larger than the Shenzhou capsule, capable of sending 6 at the same time. So this one is 3 per time. So in the future we have a larger crewed capsule.
There you see the escape tower right there. I mean, this kind of board system is usually controlled by a combination of automatic rocket failure detection, like Professor Yang just mentioned, and also a manual activation for crew commanders' use. But there is also another type of a board system, the good old ejection seat, like used in the military aircraft.
In this case, there is another task for the ground staff. After the closing the hatch of the orbital module, they also have a panel to seal the payload fairing. After this, if anything wrong happens, they must use the emergency escape system, even if it is still stand on the launch pad. Yes. So as I mentioned, the same thing happened during 1980s when the former Soviet Union want to send a spacecraft to the Salyut 7 space station. There is something wrong happened to the rocket. So the emergency escape just takes the ship out from the rocket and safely landed several kilometers away. I can still remember the astronauts. Later, he joined the mission in the Mir station and stayed there for 1 year.
So you can see the opening of the umbilical hatch, because once you arm the escape tower, you have to clear the way. So that's probably one signal that they have armed the escape tower, and it's ready for that escape tower to work.
And I also learned that these astronauts have to also get trained underwater, right? What's that for?
To simulate
the micro gravity environment, because this time the mission is more challenging. It's not just staying inside the capsule or just do a space flight or just wave flags. They have to go literally outside the space station and to work on the robotic arms. So that is more challenging.
What you mentioned is called the neutral buoyancy pool, which have just put some salt in the water to have to balance the mass, the gravity, and also the float. So the situation, the feeling of the astronaut will very similar to when they perform in EVA. So you can see that it is a very large pool in the space city, in the astronaut center. So our space station simulator is already in the pool. I can still remember during an introduction on Central CCTV, Ms. Wang Yaping just showed her training inside the water. And because that the space suit is for everyone, so the boot is a little big. So she must feel something inside, because her feet is smaller than the male astronauts.
Well, it's the underwater training is the only way that we can simulate this microgravity environment on the Earth.
Well, yes, there are a couple of other ways, but it's not as good and exact as the mutual buoyancy. You use some of the springs to lift to simulate the microgravity environment, but that's not realistic as you're in the water. So everything is like floating, and it's like outer space environment. So they have to perform a lot of tasks, either attached to robotic arms or outside of the, otherwise it will float off. So all of these needs a detailed trainings, and this requires the swimming pool. So that's why a lot of astronauts end up retiring diving. So they go to diving resorts, if you try to find former astronauts, they would be.
They get used to that kind of environment.
They're once either in an exotic diving place or on the way to it.
Yes.
The underwater training is very challenging and very tough. After training, they were so tired that they can even take a they can very hard to take their chopsticks to have their dinner. So they will be very tired after training. But this kind of training comes from the Gemini missions in the US. You know that the Gemini missions performed several EVA during their whole flight missions, but most of them are not very successful. Only the last one, the Gemini 12 mission, Dr. Buzz Aldrin performed a very, very successful EVA. The reason is that he is a fan of scuba diving, so he has
So that
get
really
used
helped.
to so this helped him. So when he comes to China, I suggest him to go to Sanya and experience the scuba diving there.
Mr. Yang, you just mentioned about the Mir station that I think that belongs to Russia, right? And I think this mission today will see the first time since May 2000 that two orbiting space stations will be simultaneously inhabited in space. And last time, it was the Mir station and ISS.
Actually speaking, yes. That the first module, the Zaya module of the International Space Station was launched in 1998. At that moment, the Mir station were not deorbited, which was deorbited in 2001.
2001 is
but
decommissioned.
At that moment, it's already been unmanned because that its working period is much longer than the design period. So at that moment, it is already not feasible for astronauts to stay inside. So they don't have a choice but to deorbit the Mir station.
In the final couple of years of Mir was not inhabited. But there was also an international community tried to bring the Mir and maintain the Mir in orbit as on a commercial basis, but they didn't do that because of the safety concerns. So it has to be deorbited and combusted and consumed in the re-entry process.
And you're now watching the live picture of the orbital module of the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft. Engineers are doing their final status checks. They're communicating with the astronauts.
Yes. The next step will be closing the hatch between the re-entry capsule and the orbital module. You see, this is a video, a camera mounted on the inside of the orbital module. We can still see the hatch on the left side. Finally, the ground staff will close the hatch.
And after that, they will close the door of the orbital module, the fairing.
The side hatch, yes.
Is there any chance that the Tiangong space station, that the astronauts on Tiangong space station can meet or say hello to the ISS astronauts at this time?
They were in the different orbit. You know that the inclination or the angle between the orbital plane and the equatorial plane of our station is 41.2 degrees. While the International Space Station, the inclination is 51.6 degrees. So they are different. They were, although a similar altitude, about 400 kilometers, but they are orbiting the Earth with a different orbit. So they cannot meet.
Okay.
All
No
three
collision
astronauts strapped in
Yeah.
as we speak. And we've noticed that these astronauts are in their 50s, 40s. Nie Haisheng is the eldest of all. I mean, he's turning 57 this year. A lot of people do retire by the age of 55 or age of 60, and they are still going to space, and that is awesome.
Yes. Or are they too old to carry out this mission?
Would that be a concern?
Well, they were trained many times for this.
So once you're in a microgravity environment, the muscle doesn't work so hard. It's the mental, it's the
That
knowledge.
won't bother them.
Yeah, the knowledge that brings everything together. And you have robotic arms outside the station. You have all the mechanical things, and you have microgravity environment. And I think there are also astronauts that over 60. In the US and other countries are still performing well in outer space. So it's a physical fitness that's very important.
So there's no standard.
There's no standard.
No standard for the age of the astronaut.
Even though we are considering future to send scientists to outer space, because that's more fitted for the experiments.
But other than that, there are certain selection criteria for astronauts, right? They have to be of a certain height. They need to have a degree. They need to pass certain physical and psychological tests, like you mentioned, Mr. Xu?
Their height usually limited for astronaut, usually limited to 1.72 meter.
So they're conducting the final check before they close the hatch, and they have already removed the plate to slide the astronauts in.
The ground staff is preparing for the closing the hatch.
All right, a major move coming up. The engineer is about to close the hatch connecting the orbital module. You're now watching our special coverage of Shenzhou 12 mission, and Doni is here with a look at the other news making headlines around the world. Doni.
Indeed, well, you have a very nice module there on the desk, and since Shenzhou's 12 is still on the Earth, and so are we, so let's take a look at what's going around in the world. A day-long summit in Geneva between the presidents of Russia and the United States wrapped up early on Wednesday, and on the agenda was everything from cybersecurity and human rights to the environment. Although both agreed progress was made over diplomats returning to their posts.
各号注意，我是景山。景山出轨根数及风力点参数已发出。东风。东风收到。华山。华山收到。各号注意，我是东风。第一次综合检查，请。东风，我是景山。我是东风，景山请讲。景山，江阴、天路及长江6号第一次综合检查正常。东风明白。东风，我是华山。我是东风，华山请讲。华山第一次综合检查正常。东风明白。各号注意，我是东风，收集第一次综合检查情况。08号。第一次综合检查正常。太原。第一次综合检查正常。渭南。第一次综合检查正常。青岛。第一次综合检查正常。天津。第一次综合检查正常。酒泉。第一次综合检查正常。青山。第一次综合检查正常。双城。第一次综合检查正常。5号。
第一次综合检查正常。
华山明白。08号明白。太原明白。渭南明白。青岛明白。天津明白。酒泉明白。青山明白。双城明白。5号
明白。
北京，我是东风。北京，我是东风。
我是北京，东风请讲。
各号注意，我是东风，收集天地化验检查准备情况，北京。
准备完毕。
酒泉。
准备完毕。
0号，我是东风，化验检查准备完毕。
0号明白。
floating according to your gravity on Earth, and you have more blood on the foot or something. But everything changes. But the advantage of living in outer space for 3 months is that there was a U.S. astronaut. He said he lived in outer space for quite a long time, and he went for a foot massage, and the massager
您好，
said
报告。
the foot is so
航天员
tender
金刚号原地大回路，话音检查正常。
because he never used that foot for
But
for
other
walking.
than, working out, other than working in space, do they have any entertainment activities? I mean, do they have off days?
Well, the very first thing they have is to have microgravity environment, that everything floats. Even if you drink, you can squeeze the water ball out and they can float to you. Not you have to use your neck to drink the water. So you have just to open your mouth, and there are many things to see on the orbiters. You can look out of the window and see beautiful Earth, climate change all the time, and cloud covering and oceans. And you can see a lot of the stars. In outer space, there's no atmosphere, so you see the galaxy more clearly. So there are many things to do on board. And then you can receive emails and communication with the ground crews. And they're also install some education programs that you teach the crowd, the young generations. So you can always hear some of the communications. On the background is still double checking the system workings, in particular for the TTNC systems. Once the rocket launched, we have to keep a 24/7 eye on the capsule. So make sure that everything goes well. So they have to do all the checkings and double checks, and you can see the veterans and the astronauts. They're in a relaxed position. Their leg are not folded as for the landing purpose, because the position they're sitting is like a baby sitting position that can tolerate the maximum G-force that they can experience. So they have to sit in a particular designed seat in the right position.
I'm hearing words. I'm sorry. I'm hearing words that our correspondent Ning Hong is with us now. He is very near the launch site. Ning Hong, if you're with me, what are you seeing now? What are you hearing now?
Hello. Well, we're now on the rooftop of a building that's about 1.5 kilometer away from the launch pad. You can see that launch pad there is very close, and this is the closest location that you could get while watching the launch. And we're now about still over 1 hour before the launch, and you can see the rocket is still covered by the rotating support platform. But from afar, you can see there's a pointing head above the launch pad. That is the abortion tower that you could see. And now the 3 astronauts are inside the capsule, and also we've just learned that the gate of the orbiter has closed. So it means that all the checks of the astronauts has completed. And as we're approaching the 1 hour countdown, the all system will go through another round of check. This will be a overall check about the conditions of the rocket, about the spaceship, and also about the entire launch field. And then you will see that these launch pads will open one by one until you can see the entire rocket. And as we're approaching a 30 minutes countdown, the people working on the launch pad will begin to evacuate. It will take them about 15 minutes to evacuate. And the last group of people working on the launch pad will evacuate in the 15 minutes countdown, and then we'll be expecting the launch very soon. And you can see that this is a very ideal weather, clear weather with minor wind. So yeah, we're all expecting this in very soon.
All right, thanks so much.
东风，我是景山。我是东风，景山，请讲。景山，预置指令已发出。东风明白。 报告。
我是北京，景山请讲。
景山报告，测量船当前海况及2小时准备情况。长江6号海况5级，浪高2.5米，风力5级，能见度10公里。景山天路长江6号2小时准备完毕。景山报告完毕。
北京明白。我是北京，江阴请讲。北京明白。
北京华山报告。
我是北京，华山请讲。
华山2小时准备完毕。华山报告完毕。
北京明白。我是北京，长城请讲。北京明白。我是北京，天河请讲。北京明白。
各号注意，收集2小时准备情况。1号。
2小时准备完毕。
太原。
2小时准备完毕。
渭南。
2小时准备完毕。
青岛。
2小时准备完毕。
天津。
2小时准备完毕。
酒泉。
2小时准备完毕。
青山。
2小时准备完毕。
双城。
2小时准备完毕。
5号。
2小时准备完毕。
天仓。
2小时准备完毕。
北京东风报告。
我是北京，东风请讲。
东风各号2小时准备完毕。东风报告完毕。
北京明白。
Yeah, under 1 hour till launch. Hopefully that rocket, they're gonna put a rocket out of the tower, and yeah, we can see the rocket.
各号注意，我是北京，1小时准备。东风，
东风明白。
华山，
华山明白。
江阴，景山，
景山明白。
各号注意，1小时准备。0号，
明白。
太原，
明白。
渭南，
明白。
青岛，
明白。
天津，
明白。
酒泉，
明白。
千山，
明白。
双城，
明白。
5号，
明白。
天仓，
明白。
各号注意，我是东风。第2次综合检查，5分钟准备。景山，
景山明白。
华山，
华山明白。
08号，
明白。
太原，
明白。
渭南，
明白。
青岛，
明白。
天津，
明白。
酒泉，
明白。
千山，
明白。
双城，
明白。
5号，
明白。
东风，我是华山。
我是东风，华山请讲。
华山第2次综合检查5分钟准备完毕。
东风明白。
风，我是景山。
我是东风，景山，请讲。
景山、江阴、天路及长江6号，第二次综合检查，5分钟准备完毕。
东风明白。各号注意，我是东风，收集5分钟准备情况。08号。
5分钟准备完毕。
太原。
5分钟准备完毕。
渭南。
5分钟准备完毕。
青岛。
5分钟准备完毕。
天津。
5分钟准备完毕。
酒泉。
5分钟准备完毕。
青山。
5分钟准备完毕。
双城。
5分钟准备完毕。
5号。
5分钟准备完毕。
各号注意，我是东风，第二次综合检查，1分钟准备。50秒。40秒。30秒。20秒。10、9、8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1，起飞。T0 08时28分28秒437毫秒。T0 08时28分28秒437毫秒。各号请。
东风，我是华山。
我是东风，华山请讲。
华山第二次综合检查正常。
东风明白。
东风，我是景山。
我是东风，景山请讲。
景山、江阴、天路及长江6号，第二次综合检查正常。
东风明白。各号注意，我是东风，收集第二次综合检查情况。08号。
第二次综合检查正常。
太原。
第二次综合检查正常。
渭南。
第二次综合检查正常。
青岛。
第二次综合检查正常。
天津。
第二次综合检查正常。
酒泉。
第二次综合检查正常。
青山。
第二次综合检查正常。
双城。
第二次综合检查正常。
5号。
第二次综合检查正常。
各号注意，我是东风。第二次综合检查正常结束。景山。
景山明白。
华山。
华山明白。
08号。
明白。
太原。
明白。
渭南。
明白。
青岛。
明白。
天津。
明白。
酒泉。
明白。
青山。
明白。
双城。
明白。
5号。
明白。
报告。
我是北京，景山请讲。
景山报告测量船当前海况及1小时准备情况。长江6号海况5级，浪高2.5米，风力5级，能见度10公里。景山天路长江6号1小时准备完毕。景山报告完毕。
北京明白。我是北京，江阴请讲。北京明白。
北京华山报告。
我是北京，华山请讲。
华山1小时准备完毕。华山报告完毕。
北京明白。 号注意，收集1小时准备情况。0号。
1小时准备完毕。
太原。
1小时准备完毕。
渭南。
1小时准备完毕。
青岛。
1小时准备完毕。
天津。
1小时准备完毕。
酒泉。
1小时准备完毕。
铅山。
1小时准备完毕。
双城。
1小时准备完毕。
5号。
1小时准备完毕。
天仓。
1小时准备完毕。
北京东风报告。
我是北京，东风请讲。
东风各号1小时准备完毕。东风报告完毕。
北京明白。东风，我是北京。
东风到。
全区各号1小时准备完毕，30分钟准备及以后口令由你下达。
东风明白。0号，我是东风。
0号到。
全区各号1小时准备完毕，30分钟准备及后续口令由你下达。
0号明白。神舟请注意，现在起，神舟12号由0号指挥。神舟。
各号注意，我是0号，30分钟准备，东风。东风明白。长征。神舟。神舟12号。各号注意，先锋。我是东风，30分钟准备。03号。景山。07号。03明白。08号。华山。09号。太原。明白。渭南。明白。青岛。明白。天津。明白。酒泉。明白。青山。明白。双城。
明白。
武汉。
明白。
天仓。明白。发射区人员请注意，30分钟准备，口令已下达，30分钟撤离人员迅速撤离。发射区人员请注意，30分钟准备，口令已下达，30分钟撤离人员迅速撤离。 船桨。明白。
Okay, we actually just recorded a podcast, but that's none of the business that we're talking about here. But, yeah, so, 20 minutes and counting to launch. Really exciting. And, hopefully the, launch time is, similar to what the actual launch is gonna be. We're gonna look it up and see if it has changed or not. And yeah, I'm gonna be staying on and talking to you guys. Okay. So launch is either scheduled for 9:22 or 9:20. It's a little I don't know what it actually is, but yeah. So this is it is 70 degrees out. It was about 70 degrees out there at the launch site, and it is launching at pad 921, and is a Long March 2F rocket that is going to be launching at Shenzhou 12, which is the first crewed mission to the new space station for the Chinese space station. Yeah, and yeah, we are under 20 minutes now, under 19 actually, and yeah, we are getting close to liftoff. And this is actually the first Chinese crewed launch since 2016. Actually, let's see if we have any updates of anything that we need to know about. So yeah. Okay. Just trying to see if there's any stuff I need to know about. And okay, NASA spaceflight said just over an hour till it's under 20 minutes now. It's actually the Long March 2FG/G rocket at Jiuquan. And yeah, it's gonna be docking at the Chinese space station on the Tiangong 2 module. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But yeah. Just so you know, the launch is at 1:01:22 UTC. If you're not EST time, Eastern time. And yeah. This is not this is like nothing that nothing part of this launch, but oh, it looks like it's actually clock has changed. It is actually under 20 minutes. It might be a delay, but maybe it's actually 22. Sorry about that, guys. I'm probably just gonna take off the countdown. And yeah, okay. So yeah, it is not that what I was saying. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying is that this is nothing about the launch that's happening, but it's just that I did not know this, but the computer for the Hubble Space Telescope suddenly halted at 4 p.m. On June 13th, and they were looking at the issue. And yeah, I did not know about that, but that's pretty interesting. And yeah. Okay. So yeah, we are coming to launch now. Let's see if we can maybe. There we go. We can't get a new timer. Sorry about that, guys. But I will keep it in the time. Okay. Okay, and okay, yeah, we are now at T-minus 17 minutes and 45 seconds, and counting. And yeah, that's the update right now. Looks like the crew is looking at papers or procedures probably for before launch. And yeah, guys, this is actually the first one of these launches since 2016. A crewed Chinese launch since 2016. So it's pretty exciting. I'm gonna put up chat right now. I forgot to do that, so I can see what you guys are saying. Okay, so I'm gonna put this credits in a different color. I'll put it in white probably. Okay, so that's taken care of, and yeah, we're coming up on launch here. Pretty exciting. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these types of live streams, like watching, reacting to some launches. Only some of them, not all of them. Usually not, probably not the SpaceX ones, really, because I'm usually out, like, watching them, actually. So yeah, expect me to watch some of these rocket launches. Expect it to have a live stream. It's not here in Florida. So yeah. Looks like we might have to move it more down here. Okay, that's good. And yeah, so just waiting. And I'm gonna go get water real quick. Be right back.
各号注意， 我是宁浩，15分钟准备，东风。
东风明白。
长征。神舟。
各号注意。
神舟12
号。
号。
东风。
Yeah, the private market, the private space market, it seems to be it's a new and it's emerging market right here in China. And earlier, I have investigated some of this the private company in China's Yizhuang. There was many.
Okay, I'm back and it is under 15 minutes now till launch. So yeah, we are. I was going out there to just get some water, but my dog was trying to fight me. He wanted to fight me, and I said no. So yeah, that was really unnecessary, but whatever. Looks like the time I'm working at is actually a delayed time. It's actually in front of when we're actually going to see it launch. So just so you know, guys. Oh, look at that. Looks like the people are getting out of there. Oh wait, no, they're not. They're just lining up.
Telemetry and mirroring signals from the vehicle.
There, see the bus taking the ground staff away from the launch tower. They will retreat.
Okay, they're getting on the bus. Makes sense. It's a pretty cool launch site. And Long March 2F is a really good rocket. Really cool rocket. Yeah. I was gonna do one of these for the NROL 111 launch for a Minotaur 1, but I had to go to my friend Jackson's house and I couldn't do one. We just watched it there. But we are now under 13 minutes to launch. Okay, it looks like actually it's later. Never mind. So yeah, guys, you guys will see it in 12 minutes and 55 seconds. So about a 30-second delay for this live stream. Or less, I don't know. Normally it's about 15. You guys will be right back.
Yeah. There are more companies engaged in making satellites. You know, that's for launch services is really relatively complex. Not only you should have the ability to making the launch vehicles, but also there are many security issues. For instance, we've discussed about the falling area of the substages. We must dealing with these kind of issues. So this is more complex. And for the satellites is relatively easier. Especially, you know, that many universities in China already have their own satellites. Some are even for the educational purposes. Even it's very interesting that there is some science outreach, science population satellites made by high school students. So this is also very interesting.
And will there be joint flights? Since you mentioned the commercial use of space flight, will there be joint flights of Chinese and foreign astronauts in the near future?
It is quite possible. During the announcement yesterday, the China Manned Space Agency, Mr. Ji Xing, has mentioned the foreign astronauts are trained in China. Several people, I can still remember that Miss Samantha Christopher Ferretti were trained in Qingdao in the rescue training. And our astronaut Ye Guangfu also were trained in Europe in the cave training. So we have cooperations, and in the future, I believe that sooner or later.
Sorry guys, my dog wanted me to play with him. But wait, I'm gonna test the mic right here. You may want to put your volume down because it might blast your ears. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. Okay. Sorry, that was weird. But yeah. Okay, it looks like we are now Under 11 minutes and counting. Okay. And guys, also, you guys can actually sign up for my newsletter at, if you go to my main channel and go to my community page, and I put a community announcement, and you can sign up for the newsletter there. New newsletter coming out in July, every month. The June one was actually just one page, it's not really a newsletter. I'm working on it, guys. Give me some time here. It's different segments of like upcoming events. Last month was, this month was ISS events. Good view of the rocket here. Under 10 minutes and counting. We've been live streaming for over 3 hours now. Okay, I'm gonna change this.
If we are lucky enough, maybe we can see from the telescope, we can the separation between the first stage and the second stage.
It's a pretty cool abort system right there. Looks normal, but I don't know why. It looks like the Soyuz. Exactly like the Soyuz. Classic. T-minus 9 minutes and counting.
And his gate tower has been activated about 5 minutes before the launch.
It's even longer. Because you know that at this moment, if anything happens, the emergency services will work.
Once the astronauts are in the cockpit, hatch is closed,
And also, what do you guys think about SpaceX not doing any more test flights for Starship? In my idea, I don't think it's a good idea at all. They should keep doing them until it's normal for them to land it. But I think they should know what they're doing, so I'm trusting them. Podcast coming out day after tomorrow, maybe. Not sure. Oh wait, no, it's in 2 days. It's gonna come out. Oh wait, no, 3 days. Okay. Upcoming videos is going to be tomorrow. It's going to be on Football Land. It's going to be what every time I'm stuttering, sorry about that. But it is when you fly a Cessna in high winds, it's called. And then the next one is going to be our remix of Blue Skies by Swiss 001. And yeah, after that will be the podcast I just filmed with my dog. So yeah, guys, it's a short one. Sorry. I really need podcast ideas. Please help. I need guests too. If you can get any people who have over maybe 10,000 subscribers or maybe 100,000, probably can't. But if that's possible, and you can contact me on YouTube or something, or Discord, I would like that. So we could do the podcast. So yeah, if you guys can do that, thank you.
I think they're still watching your...
Okay guys, it is under 7 minutes now, but I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
They just need to repeat that again and again.
I wonder how they feel at this moment. I mean, going into space would be the lifetime dream for every astronaut, right? I guess there will be boundless joy for.
Is there any other instrument that has been connected on those on the body of those astronauts?
Exactly. So they will monitoring the biological parameters of their body. It will be also
heart rate, respiration.
Yeah. If they don't feel not better, we can stop the whole procedure to deal with that.
In fact, we monitor this all the time.
That's right. I figured.
T-minus 5 minutes.
But from our earlier experience, the figure can show that all of those astronauts have been well trained and they can keep pretty calm even before the launch.
Usually they are very, very calm during the launch.
They're really
Even
calm.
during any emergencies.
That's right.
Life-threatening.
Hey guys, back. So getting final procedures done before launch. For some reason, every single time, probably guys, you don't need to know this, but every single time there's a rocket launch I'm really excited for, I need to go to the bathroom for it. It's weird why I even say that, but whatever. It's my channel. Okay, so, we're getting ready. Pretty exciting. We are under 5 minutes now to launch. And just so you know, guys, this footage his footage you see on the screen right now is a live broadcast of the launch by CCTV Plus. We were playing earlier. We were playing CGTN, I think, the news channel, and we were playing that because CCTV Plus wasn't doing a live stream then, but now they are.
So these are top level officials. They're watching.
It's a lot of people. All those cameras up there. CCTV. So funny. CCTV cameras on the CCTV broadcast channel. Lol. LOL. So funny. LOL. What's this? Farewell. Godspeed. Let's go. 100. Okay, 3 minutes and 30 seconds and counting. Let's go. I do not know how to pronounce any of their names. Sorry about that. This is really exciting. It must be really creepy. One of my members said this on Space Group. Sorry, you guys can join on my Space Group. Sorry about that. It's only private. Only my family can join. Sorry about that. But it's a text group, so obviously. But they said that it would be really creepy just being the first people to go in an empty space station, and I thought that was actually really true. Okay, we're coming up on 2 minutes now. 2 minutes and mark. Yeah. 2 minutes. Here we go. Looks like this countdown I'm on is off, so I'll get that out of here. Okay, guys, so here we go.
And right now, for the astronauts who are waiting there for launch, there's really not much they can do.
I'm gonna plug in my headphones, see if there is. See if this one.
Shenzhou
Sorry, guys, about
12
that.
mission in the middle. Nie Haisheng, the flight commander, and alongside with him are the flight engineers, Liu Guoming and Pao Bo.
Okay, guys, here we go. 1 minute.
All right, that's the call out. T-minus 60
Oh boy,
seconds.
here we go.
An incredible moment to witness. Truly majestic view.
The astronauts are ready, in their ready position.
Yeah, they're ready.
Yeah, and soon we're going to see the umbilicals being detached. That's going to happen from any moment from now.
The arms will be finally.
Okay, arms are getting released. Here we go.
The arm has been rolled back.
Wow. The historic moment is coming. And
30 seconds till launch.
30 seconds.
The first crewed mission destined for Tiangong China Space Station on board the Shenzhou 12 spacecraft. 20 seconds, less than 20 seconds to go.
And the Shenzhou 12 will be Neil
12,
Hopkins'
11,
third space
10,
action.
That's right.
9,
9,
8, 7,
7,
6,
6,
5, 4,
4,
3,
3,
2, 1, 0.
Ignition.
Yeah, lift off.
And
There they go.
Just spectacular. The launch
Wow.
of Shenzhou 12 spacecraft
Whoa.
heading to the Chinese space station. The divine vessel shipping away from its spaceport. Its destination,
Wow.
the Heavenly Palace.
Really? That's what it's called?
The Shenzhou 12
Pretty cool.
spacecraft will be fared to the core
Wow.
module of China's space station.
Now that's pitching over.
And of course, you're hearing the voices from the launch team providing tracking status.
Is it supposed to be
Things
pitching
are
over
going
that
good.
much? Oh yeah, it
That's the
probably
sound
is.
we'd like
Probably
to hear.
is.
We have different ground tracking
Yeah, that's
stations.
good.
Okay, it's pitch over. Change its direction of flight.
Okay.
Right. And
Wow,
that's
this
the
is-
view of the side boosters. You're looking
Wow.
down at the tail of the rocket.
That's
This is the camera
insane.
on the second stage.
Major event coming up is the separation of the escape tower, right? That's going to
Oh.
happen about 2 minutes into the flight.
And because
Oh,
the
really?
sky today is really
That's
clear,
it?
so we
Okay.
have a beautiful view.
Clear
of the,
visual.
Let's
yeah, we can have
go.
a clear visual of the rockets coming, the
And-
launching off into the sky.
Wow.
Right. The astronauts, they look fine to me. They look okay.
Yeah.
They look
And keep
fine.
in mind, the rocket has 4 side boosters.
Looking
Those are 2 out of
good.
the 4 you're watching there.
So is that supposed to be the period that the astronauts feel very uncomfortable?
Yes,
It's
that's
speeding
the
up?
very,
It's
very
speeding up?
beginning period.
They were
Very
already
uncomfortable.
experiencing the deload.
All right.
When we'll see peak G load?
The separation before the first stage.
Okay. So we're not there
So
yet.
they're confused too.
The forces are
The
increasing.
first thing would be the separation.
They
of
really
the
don't know a lot about rockets.
The
Something.
first one will be setting of
escape
the
tower.
emergency escape tower.
If everything goes right, we're going to see the
Several
escape tower
seconds.
Look at-
just.
this is really
See
cool.
it
I never seen a rocket look like that, like frozen in the air like that. It doesn't even look like it's getting
Oh,
powered.
that's the
That's the
3D
simulation.
animation.
That's cool.
That animation is.
Oh,
based
there
on
we go.
real-time
Great
telemetry.
power.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
that's
the
the separation
Wow.
of the escape tower that we just saw there.
That's cool.
And you heard the call out.
And
That's
then
the infrared
150
image.
seconds will be the separation of the 4 boosters.
A great infrared image
Oh,
showing
wow,
you
that's
successful
crazy.
separation of the escape tower, really indicating the low-level flight. The initial stage of the flight went well.
Oh man,
That's in fact.
why is
the
it dark
infrared,
on that camera?
camera.
It's like, oh, I saw like an infrared. And then,
So this is the video.
Again, side boosters.
Coming up next is
Booster
the
separation.
booster separation.
yeah.
And
Oh,
first
we got
stage,
separation?
oh,
Yep,
there
we
you
do.
see
Separation.
the booster separation.
Whoa.
Each side booster has been separated from the core
Wow.
stage.
And
That's
the first
crazy.
stage rocket
Beautiful.
separation. You see the 5 bright dots? Those
Yeah,
are the
that's
4
right.
side
Jeez.
boosters and the one
And also the
stage
core
1
stage.
rocket.
The first stage is also
First
already
stage?
separated.
Jeez.
So now the astronauts will be feeling really
That's crazy.
comfortable.
They all
And
separate at
they're
once.
Making some movement, you can see.
Wow.
They're waving to the camera.
Whoa, look at that.
They're okay.
Operation will be just jettisoning
Oh, look at
of
that.
the payload fairings.
The
I
jellyfish
think that's
effect,
the
whatever
image
it's called.
of the stage 2 rocket engine.
Exactly.
Stage
The
two
camera
rocket
mounted
engine.
towards the back wheel.
That's cool.
Coming up next is the shutdown of
Never
the
seen this
stage
angle.
2 rocket engine.
And there is only one main engine for the
Only
second
one main
stage.
engine
Okay,
and
Main
four
that's the
vernier
view
engines.
of the
One main
spacecraft,
engine
right?
and
That's
4
the-
more vernier engines. Vernier
Vernier.
engines is to control the
All
attitude.
right, that's the
fairing.
jettison of the fairing. That's
Yep.
the solar panel
Successful
you're seeing.
separation of the fairings.
Which module is that? Is that the orbital module, service module? Service module. Is
It
it?
is separation of the payload fairings.
The fairing covers the service module as well as the capsule.
The camera, as you mentioned, is mounted on the I believe the propulsion module.
There you can see the Earth from the
They
camera
changed the color
on
again.
the spacecraft.
Yeah, we can already
The ellipse of the
It's a great
Earth. It's
visual.
beautiful.
It's more like it because it's red, the logo. Oh, we got a view of
Some fast
Earth.
maneuvers and status reports there.
Wow.
So far.
9:26 a.m. Beijing time here. About 4 minutes into the flight, everything continues to look good.
They should be already 100 kilometers above Earth already.
Jeez.
It's incredible to hear how fast the rocket.
The whole
is going.
process that before they're hitting the orbit, it just needs like 10 minutes.
Yes, 580.
Yeah, I don't know when it's gonna dock. When is it
And the
docking?
next critical step will be the
Oh,
shutdown
shit,
of the
that
main
actually-
engine. And then it will work on the 4 vernier engines. Vernier engine can rotate in different directions to control the attitude. And finally, and can adjust the orbit to be accurate enough.
So this engine you're seeing from the screen is very important because it
Yeah.
has to have a surgical precision of when to shut down, to eject that spacecraft.
Looks like there's
into
no
the precise
information on
altitude
A-docking.
and the precision to catch up with the station.
And what's it like to endure so many G-forces? I guess we are going to hit the time when the crew will feel maximum G-forces before the second stage rocket shut down?
They've already passed the most inconvenient period.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it already. Because the thrust of the second stage is not very large. Only one engine, one main engine. Just before the separation.
And really didn't notice much difference from their facial expression, from their body gesture. I guess they've been trained to endure such pressure.
We can see from the left screen that shows the data link between the ground station and
that's
the
cool.
And that animation is based on real-time telemetry. It's not a pre-made video. It's really showing you what's going on in real time.
Oops, sorry.
This is a real camera. Yeah. And you can see the sky become dark because it's already in outer space. It's black, pitch black.
Just put that in the middle of the screen.
Wait,
can I actually wait?
Very bright.
Numerous cameras on this vehicle, and they have light on it to illuminate the rocket so that everything shows up on camera, and engineers can take a look at them, just in case of a problem or anything.
Because it's already in almost a vacuum condition, so the vibration is not so intensive than the initial stage.
Sorry about that. I was
So this
messing around.
engine, the second stage engine that has been designed
Okay,
for
second
just
stage.
one main engine and 4 extra engines.
good.
This kind of design was
We're gonna end the stream when it's
especially-
doing close.
was specially designed for
When it starts
the
close space.
precise orbit entering.
It comes from the original.
So yeah, guys,
design of
next
Long March 2
watching stream for
so
me will
we save a lot of
maybe
money by using the
probably-
same engine on the first and the second
Let's see
stage.
this
Just a
way.
different configuration with vacuum condition. But still, we need the 4 vernier engines. Vernier engine is much smaller than the main engine, but with these engines, we can have a accurate adjust of the orbit.
If you guys want me to, I could watch the Cygnus release. I don't know if
We are
that's just
almost
kind of
about
boring.
8 minutes into the flight. And keep in mind that this is China's
I can
first
watch.
crewed
I can
mission
watch
since
a
2016.
yeah, old
China
progress
yesterday. This was the
MS-17
top
launch
cruise
and
flight
docking.
overall
I could do.
in the past 18 years. Ground tracking
So,
staff
yeah.
is saying everything is normal, is going nominal. You just saw some bright orange flame there.
The main engine is shut down.
And now it's been shut down.
Okay.
Another critical step being completed.
So now those astronauts
Now they're
supposed to-
floating.
Oh, they're
Now
floating.
they're floating. So
Now
Oh,
they're supposed
wow.
to feel more comfortable.
Yeah,
they
right.
do look like they're a bit more at ease now. They're looking at their flight manual.
You can hear from the voice that shows that the USB, the tracking, the video tracking, and also the optical cameras tracking.
Yeah, guys, we're gonna end the stream in under 5 minutes probably. See if anything else is happening. real quick.
So the vernier engine, the 4
Looking
vernier
good.
engines is still working to adjust its orbit very accurately.
Yeah, and they're looking out at the window. You can see the light from the window.
Yeah. This is the camera on board on the propulsion module.
Okay.
You can see the
Solar
folded panels, the 4 pieces of panels on one side.
And coming up next
It's
will
really
be the
exciting.
spacecraft separation.
Exactly.
Oh, here we go.
After the shutdown of the 4 vernier engines.
So in fact, they're fine-tuning their attitude
Yes.
and make sure that it's facing at the right direction before they shut down and separate the engine.
Okay, let's see the
During the
separation and then
the
I'll get ready
separation
and
near
we'll do
the
the
eastern
outro.
coast of Shenzhou province.
Cause I'm tired.
How this spacecraft is gonna find the Tampa core module in space? I mean, there's nothing that you can use to.
Well, there's so many things. I mean, there's signals that transmitting to each other. Their navigation
Well,
systems,
yeah,
their
that's
BEDO, they're communicating, and their ground crew.
Just separate?
So this time the astronaut doesn't have to do too much, and it's going to be automatic
What was that?
fast connection.
Is it
The
moving?
robotic just take care of
Automatic
everything.
running and
Yeah.
The Shenzhou 12 mission once again will last about 3 months in space, the longest stay in space to date by Chinese astronauts.
Oh, separation.
All right.
Yay.
Great separation of spacecraft.
Wow.
Second stage is drifting away.
That's right.
Wow.
So the next critical step will be the unfolding of the solar panels.
Solar panels.
So the sun? Yeah.
So once the separation is done, the capsule and the service module has to adjust.
So
its
the
own
capsule's off.
And you can see the spacecraft, the full view of the spacecraft
pretty
from
cool.
that 3D animation, right? You can see the returning capsule in the middle, and then the orbiting module.
I guess
and
stick
the
around and
service
see
module.
if they use solar
Another great
panels.
view of the Earth.
That's the stick, yeah.
Oh,
This
that's
is a
cool.
video from the camera mounted on the spacecraft.
Oh.
As we're just standing by for deployment of solar panels.
Look at our home.
The
There
voice
we
says
are.
that the
Hey,
data
look,
link
there's
between
me.
the
I'm right
vehicle and
there.
the, data relay satellite has
Yeah,
been
you can
established.
see there's a pin is floating.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you,
They're
if you look
tossing
at
things
the
around.
yeah, look inside the
They are just
spacecraft.
There you
enjoying
have
the
it.
microgravity now.
I think the astronauts are just showing off to us.
There's one first timer.
They just won't let us know.
This is the first time for
I
Hongguo.
tell you that.
Yeah, right.
First,
Okay. So yeah, but guys, thank you guys for watching. Great launch, successful deployment, and yeah, it's heading towards the Chinese space station. So yeah, guys, sorry about that, guys. We'll see you in the next live stream. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye. Hey guys, solar panel deployment. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so yeah, now thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.